information in front of you. There are a couple sheets at your table when you sat down. I think the top sheet was the SAC enrollment. If you go to the bottom of that page, and it would be right down here in this section on this sheet, just this bottom section, it's labeled 2008-2009 certified enrollment. In previous years, it was real clear about what row 1 through 5 stood for and what row 7 stood for. Row 7 is actually the line that you could circle. And that 432.3 last year was actually the weighted funded enrollment. And it's the number, line 7, if you remember, is the number that we use when we get ready to calculate how we're going to split expenses between the two districts, what part of the kids were Sacs and what part of the kids were Wallach Robbins. We have a new system for enrollment. It's called Project Easier, and it's not that easier. Certified enrollment has a whole different look to it. None of the same documents are available. And really it was stimulated by every student in Iowa needing to have an identification number. So Melissa has a student in kindergarten, and that student has identification number. You've got kids in various grades, and every one of those kids of yours have identification numbers. And then in our JMC software system, they have that Project Easier number, but they also have some other identifying factors along with them. And all kids' scores are reported to the Iowa Department of Education through their Project Easier number. And the bottom line of it for the federal government was, they were saying to Iowa, we don't think that you report all the scores for No Child Left Behind reporting, and you don't have any system statewide that accounts for every single student in your district. So this past year, for about the last 4 months, schools have been working to have our documents for student numbers coincide with what the Department of Ed believes our student numbers are. Row 1 for the 2009-10 are the in-district, all of these are the in-district kids, the kids that the Sac Community School District is responsible for educating. They live in the district, I should say it that way. So these are the kids that reside in the district. They may leave to be open and rolled out, but we're still responsible for their per pupil cost. So row 1 really is any homeschool students we have, as well as any kids that just every day live in the district, but they're also educated in the district. So primarily that we're talking about 5-year-olds through 8th graders that just stay right here and never leave the district. The next big row that you need to be concerned about is row 3, and that's the kids that reside in the district, but they leave the district for some reason, either for open enrollment out, or in this case, to whole grade sharing at the Lakeview High School. So that weighted enrollment this year is 427.10. And if you look at the numbers down at the bottom, it talks about the percent increase or decrease. And the district is down 5.2 students for a 1.2% decrease. Honestly, we were expecting probably closer to 15 or more for a decline this year. So we were down, but not significantly. And just so you can see what Wallach Robbins looks like, it's usually you're interested in that. Again, take a look at the bottom of it. And last year's enrollment was 506.8, 506.8 students. This year it's 524.6. So Wallach Robbins is up 3.51%, or just about 18 students. And we have 4 test documents we have to go through, and we are through the 3rd test. And we believe that these are accurate. We just verified all of our special ed count today, which is additional weighted enrollment. And we'll have that verified by the end of this week. So if we get our gen ed enrollment, we get our special ed weighted enrollment. Then if you turn to the back of the page, this is the certified supplementary weighting. And let's take Sacs and take a look at it. Row 1 on that enrollment is called total supplementary weighting. And here are the things that are included in supplementary weighting. Shared teachers that are not part of whole grade sharing. So that could be elementary art, elementary PE, elementary music, elementary guidance, not the principal, TAG would be the teachers that we share at the elementary level. So any elementary teachers that we share generate supplementary weighting for both of the districts. Okay? And if you take a look at 2009, we took a look at those that total supplementary weighting. Well, it was those preschool through 4th grade teachers that we share, but it's also our college credit, our concurrent credit classes generate weighted enrollment. So elementary shared teachers, kids who take college credit classes, okay, and that generates 10.07 weighting. So just a little over 10 student times per pupil cost. But if you look at 2008 and you say, gosh, but last year there was 28.54, which is a negative 18.47 kids. This is the 3rd year of whole grade sharing, and because it's not the year preceding reorganization, there's no weighted enrollment for the whole grade sharing students for either district. Okay, that's state law. So last year that 28.54 was our elementary shared teachers, our college credit classes, and it was also then all of our whole grade sharing kids. Okay. If you move down to line 2, supplementary weighting for shared operational functions, this year it's 34.16. Last year it was 23.95, so it's a positive change of 10.21. Those positions are the 3rd year for shared superintendent, 2nd year for transportation director, and part-time business manager sharing for just the business manager part of the job that has to do with payroll. And then it's the 1st year for buildings and grounds on a 20% sharing. And if you remember, those are on a 5-year calendar, and every year there's a decrease of 20% of FTE enrollment that counts. And so when you take a look at it, we lost supplementary weighting for whole grade sharing, but we gained supplementary weighting because of an additional shared operation position. And then if you take a look at line 3, the total number of resident students in accredited non-public schools, those aren't really weighted enrollment. There's no weighting for those. That's just the number that we provide to the department to make sure that they have an accounting for really every student in the state of Iowa, whether they're parochial or whether they're private or homeschool. So last year SAC had 18 kids in non-public schools, and this year has 16. And then if you go over and take a look at Wall Lakeview Auburn's numbers, really the explanation is the same. It's just different numbers, and this is based on population, the size of the district, the numbers of kids. And you can see the non-public was 37 from Wall Lakeview Auburn to Kemper last year, and it's 33 this year. Any comments or questions you have about either side? It's a lot of information.
Does number 3 include then our homeschool kids? Do we decide that or not? Or?
No, those kids are over on, they're part of row 2 on the front page.
Okay. So do we know where the decrease went for both districts?
Just hang on to that question. Our homeschool kids are only weighted enrollment if they're dual enrolled or if they're homeschool assistance program. And so just because they're homeschooled doesn't mean that we necessarily get any weighting for them. It depends on what services they sign up for when they fill out their homeschool paperwork every fall.
So we don't have to teach them?
Some kids we do and some we don't.
Okay.
Depends on what they sign up for. There's some choices on on homeschooling. It's actually called Competent Private Instruction. If you see CPI at the Iowa Department of Education level, that's homeschooling. Okay. They can either dual enroll or they can ask for homeschool assistance program, the HSAP program. And depending on whether they ask for those or not, we get some weighting or we don't get any weighting. Then that also determines what kind of testing there is.
Okay.
Okay. But they are part of row 2.